Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Furlong, Cesar. Look at this, Jaden. This is amazing. Good to see you guys. Rabisha, thank you. Thank you. I love a thumbs up. Honestly, makes me so happy. I really appreciate the thumbs up. I really appreciate your support. So let me know if you can not hear me or not see me or if anything strange is going on, because right now I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on your side. Tuberchat raid, yes, Tuberchat, amazing. Christian, thank you. Great to see you. We are going to cover all things to grow. Oh, Kristen, amazing. Tuberchat in the house, I love it. Miss Kristen Welton, always a treat when you show up. Furlong, thank you. Thank you for giving me cheers. And I love it when you hear mate. So whenever I hear mate, it reminds me of my time in Australia. Brandon Jackson, hello, my friend. Good to see you. So we had a chance for you guys all to get to know each other, get to meet some other creators. We're going to get a chance to, Kevin's going to drop by in a couple minutes. He's just finishing up. He's over in Tuberchat right now. He's probably going to get a quick drink, where who knows what it's going to be. Could be anything, knowing Kev. We're going to get going right there. But then we're going to be asking we're going to be basically, hey, good to see you, Belize. This is awesome. We are going to see a whole bunch of, we're just basically going to cover how to grow our channels. For all you small YouTubers like me, I see Kevin just rolled in here. He looks fantastic. Very good.
Good to see you, Brad. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. Like, did you get a chance to lube up the old pipes? You were just chatting there for a little bit the last little while.
We're drinking from a straw today. So.
Yeah, I'm not even going to ask what's in that cup. I'm not even going to ask what's in there. Good to see you, Black Friday. Awesome. This is amazing. We've got so many people rolling in. Eric, fantastic. Good to see you. And of course, Miss Weldon, always makes me smile. This is so good. So great to see so many of you right there. This is just good stuff. Official DB World. We're going to let a few other people roll up. Kev right there. He's been working hard all night, changing his background. This is what he brings to the table. The technology to go from one room to another with just a snap of the fingers, just like that. Kev's got the falls behind him. If you didn't have a chance to check out those falls, if you've never been to Niagara Falls, they are absolutely beautiful. Taking charge with Tamiko, welcome. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. I am Brad. Beside me, wearing black tonight, representing a young Zorro, would be Kevin Kaye himself. As we go, Shattered Soul, great to see you as well. Ruth's Truth, a new connection for me, Ruth's Truth. So I just met Ruth's Truth over in Tuberchat tonight. So great chance for us all to know. I love it. It's an attack, not a raid. I love it. This is so good. This is so good. For those of you just getting here, this is Kevin Kaye. We're going to cover a whole bunch of questions. And we're going to have a chance to bring this all together because we're all trying to, we're small YouTubers, most of us, trying to build our brands, trying to build our communities. And Kevin's got a wealth of information, a wealth of knowledge. And basically, as you go through, thank you, Pierre, I'm a Packers fan. And as you go through, if you've got a question, drop that in the chat. I'm going to get those through to Kevin as we go along. I've got a bunch of questions that a whole bunch of people post on the community board. I'm not going to waste much time. I want to get right into those. Hey, Miss Shanna, good to see you. Official DV World, great energy. Yeah, this is what it is. And I had a chance to have breakfast with Kevin. It's almost a month ago now. Man, time flies.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so we had breakfast together. I was down in Niagara Falls. It was a fantastic. Brandon Jackson, tonight, there's not really a panel tonight, Brandon. It's just Kevin Kaye and myself. We're just going to be shooting the breeze, covering all kinds of information for how Brandon, yourself, and myself and the rest of us, we can help grow our channel. So it's not really a panel so much tonight, as I'm going to have a chance to take advantage of Kevin's wonderful mind, a beautiful mind, some would say, and we're going to tap right into there. So for those of you who don't know Kev, as you get here, Kevin Kaye, he's in black. I'm Brad. Most of you here, you know me, so we're getting a chance. 100% taking charge of Tamiko. You can ask questions. Kevin here, he's monetized 5 channels. He consults with many other people on their channels. That's a little bit about his resume. Kev, when did you get on YouTube yourself? Just as we find out a little bit more about you before I start peppering you with questions, tell us a little bit about yourself here.
So thank you so much, first of all, for having me, and thanks for the introduction. So I started on YouTube 4 years ago, but I started as a channel manager with the very first video that I ever posted. It wasn't for me, it was for somebody else. So there's a lot that I like to promote in that idea, that for everybody in the chat right now, I mean, almost all of us are probably YouTubers in the chat, and half of my full-time job is doing YouTube related work for many different channels. And if there's something that you are good at and that you enjoy doing, you can absolutely get paid for that from other people. And this is a perfect example. So when I will say, for instance, Brad and I have known each other for a little while, but I'll mention, I'm a channel manager, but I just make that term up, right? Because what else are we going to call it? I do run the channels and I do film the videos and upload and all that other stuff. This is what gave me the experience. I didn't start working on my own channel very seriously until about a year ago, because I was buying myself some time, and I don't recommend that for anybody, but I was, because I wanted to decide what I was going to do. Now, it turned out that Tuberchat was going to be the thing, but the reason that we do these growth streams and stuff now wasn't available more than 2 years ago, where we connect with each other and we chase our 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time and try to do it with some loyalty and dedication to one another. Wasn't necessary because YouTube changed the rules a couple years ago. That was when I saw the opportunity, didn't know what was going to happen, and Tuberchat was born. The idea was born at the beginning of this year, and we started in May. But thank you. So hopefully, for those of you who haven't already heard of Tuberchat, this is the engine that I've built now so that we all can build our channels faster with a strong and solid foundation. So thank you again, Brad, for having me here. I enjoy our conversation. We had a great breakfast when you came down to Niagara Falls. I really enjoyed that. And it's a great thing that we can get together again like this and hopefully bring some value to everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things as we go along, like so oftentimes creators like yourself and myself, Kev, you rarely get to meet in person. So the fact it all came together like that just worked out just amazing. For those of you who are in the chat, get to know each other, chat around as so many used to. If you could avoid using terms like sub, do you guys know the deal in there? Just avoid that. I should have like all of Kevin's like banned word list in there, I guess, but it is what it is. So as we go through, yeah, just try and be mindful of that. Kev, let's get right in. One of the first questions I got: what's the difference between tags and hashtags? When should people be using hashtags at the bottom of their description? So in case you're wondering, for those of you just getting here, this is Kevin Kaye beside me. Kevin Kaye's in the black, just like Zorro, or for some of you, Darth Vader, but we're hoping that this is when the mask came off and he was more friendly. And I'm Brad on this side. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to try and rapid fire a whole bunch of questions at Kev. He's going to try and give us good answers here as best he can. This is what he does. If you've got a question, pop it in there. I'll try and get to it as well. So the first one is the difference between tags and hashtags. And which do you think is more important? Should they both be being used by people? And if so, how many hashtags and how many tags in general? I'll pass it to you.
So with tags in particular, hashtags came over from the ideas from Twitter, Instagram, and other places where they're popular. YouTube now uses those. We should always be using at least 3 hashtags. But forgive me while I dance back and forth between the two. The most important is the tags. So under your description in YouTube Studio, when you're uploading a video, you want to fill those tags out. They give you, I think it's a 500 character maximum, but you want to maximize that. You want to fill that right out. 2, 3 tags, 4 tags, 5 tags is not enough. Anything you can think of. There's lots of free tools out there that can really help you with this as well. You want to fill those tags out as full as you possibly can. With hashtags, you'd like to use a minimum of 3. And what that does is it allows people to click right above the title. I forget if it's above or below your title of your video. You'll see a couple of hashtags listed in blue, and they're linkable, right? So you can click them, and then you can find other videos that also include those hashtags. The same way, for those of you familiar with Twitter and Instagram, you might find other posts similar. So it allows you to get found easier for particular hashtags. Like, for instance, Brad might use something like fitness as a hashtag because you're constantly doing fitness, and then other fitness-related words might be suitable. Obviously, those are done on an individual video basis.
Yeah, so each one of my videos, I'll go with like fitness. Sometimes I'll put in myBSlife just to try and get some more relevance of that, because that's unique to me. And I usually have a few in there. But like you said, I try and max out my 500 characters for the other tags as I go through.
Where possible, it's the best idea. You can add many more hashtags to your descriptions if you'd like to. You can add them to the title. I don't recommend it, but you can. And then you can add many more in your description, but only the first 3 will be linkable at the top under the title of your video.
So as we prioritize, so if someone's got 15 hashtags, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're saying choose your 3 most important hashtags, make sure they're ordered first.
That's right. They can be anywhere in the description, but the first 3 hashtags that YouTube sees will be listed. Another thing that YouTube's come out with now on the talk of hashtags is the idea of short videos. They're after the TikTok people right now because TikTok has got all this questionable future in front of it and this and that. So if you make a vertical video, not horizontal, it must be vertical, 60 seconds or less, and use the hashtag shorts, either in the title or the description, you get added into this new category where there's other videos all of the same type, similar to what Instagram just did with Reels, if everybody's familiar, and TikTok does with their minute-long videos. It's just meant to be short, quick stuff, but that's something else to look into as well, and it's hashtag related.
No, that's fascinating because I didn't know about that at all till right now. So you're saying we want to be filming vertical instead of horizontal, 60 seconds or less, and you label it short. So I could basically do a small promo for my channel and it would get linked in with other fitness people. That's
right. Shorts with an S. It's plural. Shorts.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool to know. When we're hashtagging or tagging, do we want to go for like frequently found words, or do you want a longer hashtag or longer tag that's more specific? Which one would you recommend between like a high turnover one, like say fitness, which would be more popular, or something for me, which would be like burpees, which would be less popular?
While the idea is young and new, then short is better, in my opinion, right? Because it's not being used by everybody yet. The market is not flooded for that. So if you use the word fitness, you're likely to get found. Later on, when we've got millions of videos coming up per day and they all have hashtags, you'll want to niche down a little bit so that you can get found. Because what will happen is when you get found, whether it's for a hashtag or otherwise, if somebody comes to your video and they're not engaged within the first few seconds, they're going to jump off, and that can hurt your averages on your watch time. So you want your hashtags to be relatable, but right now, since it's still a bit of a young idea on YouTube, you can go for those broad terms. Shorter could be better. I do a little bit of a mix of both.
No, I love it because, like I said, for me, that's completely new, and that's a really exciting one. Another question I was asked too: how long should our descriptions be?
Well, so let's say as long as possible, right? And I know that's a very simple answer, but YouTube gives you a very large space. I think it's 2,000 characters. Is it 2,000 or 5,000? Or it's an unreasonable.
I think 5,000.
Oh, there you go, 5,000. Yes, it's so long, but they also give you a limit, which kind of speaks volumes about the way that they're handling this, right? So you can punch a bunch of tags in there if you want to look. I don't treat my personal channel and Tuberchat quite exactly the same, but with Tuberchat, I go overboard. Why? At the end of my descriptions, I take all the tags in the tags area and I copy them out as text in the description. And then I do the same with a bunch of hashtags. I'll probably put like 50 of them in there. I don't know how much that actually helps. It's kind of like a hack. I don't usually recommend that stuff, but it's kind of, if you have the room, why not? But long descriptions can really help. And YouTube is also listening to your videos. So if you use a lot of the same sentences when you speak during the video, if you're speaking, as well as in the description, YouTube can match those up, and you can find a lot of power in that, where you might find your videos being found a little bit better for that reason. So if we know the content of our videos as we go along, it's good to use the same language as we go through that are going to be in our description as well, because then YouTube can marry them together. It's that, for that reason, it's also a good idea, where possible, if you're planning a video, you might specifically plan the things you're going to say. the title you're going to use so that you can say the title many times during the video.
That's awesome advice. There's a quick question that referred back to the shorts. Or do people make thumbnails as well? It's came this. What about thumbnails? Do we need to make regular thumbnails for shorts as well?
Forgive me because I haven't made one yet. So
okay.
Unfortunately, on that one, I'm not 100% sure. We'd have to.
No. And I'm one of those people like yourself, Kev. I'd rather not give an answer than give an answer I don't know the answer to, because then you steer people the wrong way. But I love that, because that description question comes up a lot. As you can see, I'm just checking things off. Okay, another question I got. The thumbnail question just came up. In your opinion, sometimes you see thumbnails, it's just a picture, no text. Sometimes you see a thumbnail, it's all text, no picture. And then we also get into the issue of colors for thumbnails. So my question for you is this. As we go through, does the color of thumbnail matter besides aesthetics? And do we want picture as well as text, in your opinion?
So text you have to be careful with. And the reason why is because a lot of people are just watching on their phone. So if they can't actually read the text, it may not be as effective as you hope that it is, right? There's a lot of videos out there by big YouTubers like Sean Cannell, Daryl Eve, Sonny Lenarduzzi, Roberto Blake, and these people, and they talk about how to make clickable thumbnails. Now, the truth is, the very best advice that I can give is you look at what's already working on your channel, and then you do more of that. So if you have thumbnails and it's suitable for you to have a close-up of your face, that's said to be very clickable, right? But if it's not appropriate for the video, then that rule does not apply, right? You want the thumbnail to relate to what people are going to get when they get into the video, because you don't want to clickbait either. You don't want to put a face, and then when somebody clicks, there's no face in the video. It may not make sense. You have to make the right decisions for your own channels. Color absolutely matters, but the best you can do is just spend as much time as you have researching all these different aspects. It's a lot to learn, but you can just simply type into Google or YouTube color theory and learn very quickly. You can get a little chart. You can find out that orange typically means excitement. Purple and black would typically mean trust, or like royal blue. And forgive me, because I may not even be, I don't have a chart in front of me, so I might not be 100% accurate, but it matters, right? And marrying colors, like, when we're talking about autumn right now, you might be thinking about, for people who live in climates where the trees change color, you might find yourself doing things like, or a better example is Halloween. Halloween is coming up. If you're doing a Halloween video, you're probably going to use orange, black, maybe purple, maybe green, the typical colors we always see. So it can matter. The best idea is to make sure that your thumbnail relates to the video. So people, like, they're intentionally clicking on something. They say, hey, I want to see that. My background right now has this Niagara Falls. I would want to do this specifically as a thumbnail if I was talking about Niagara Falls, right? Not just because it looks pretty. So you're thinking about the content of the video, and you can always test. You can always update your thumbnails on your older videos, and I recommend doing that. So
yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. I've heard that in the past, that if you've left the same thumbnail on for a while, it's advantageous to switch that thumbnail out for something different.
You can. It's worth always testing. Wherever you have time, go through and refresh your older videos, because simple tag changes, simple title changes, and thumbnail changes, they don't hurt the progress of the video, but they might be able to give you a boost. And again, you want to look at your everything to do with your channel, analytics, the front page, things you hear from other people, and you want to look for what you're doing right more so than what you're doing wrong, so that you can duplicate your own success. But experimenting is always recommended. Always, always, always.
When you go through, and someone just came on, Shattered Soul said, what is shorts? Shattered Soul, when this is done, if you watch the first 10 minutes of this, you'll see Kevin explain something really cool that's going on with shorts. As we go through, but I love the idea of, like you said, tinkering things. How often do you go through and change the way you present your videos? Because you mentioned the Niagara Falls background. I was recently in Niagara Falls. I did two different filming of things there. I did an ab workout, and I had the falls in the background for that because it was directly relevant. But do you often experiment with the way you present your videos, or do you keep your descriptions kind of formulaic because you know what works for you?
The descriptions, I have a formula, and it's not necessarily perfect. It's just the way that I do it. I change things all the time. But when it comes to thumbnails, depending on the application, my personal channel, the thumbnails are all over the place. Tuberchat, every thumbnail is exactly the same, but the colors change just so that it looks bright and colorful and fun. I'm not the most fun person, right? Because I'm always in a serious mode, right? But I laugh, I joke and stuff like that.
I think you're a fun guy, Kev. I think you're fun.
But I try to make the channel look a little more colorful and a little more fun. But when I'm doing it with other channels, it's very seriously deliberate, the way that the thumbnails are being presented. My breakout videos on my personal channel, the thumbnails played a huge part, and they are not the same. My number 1 video, my number 2 video, and my number 3 video are all very, very different. So again, it comes from experimenting. It comes from trial and error.
I see some people too. If they have a series, you'll end up with like 8 or 9 thumbnails where they basically look identical. My personal thoughts are on that. If someone is new on your channel, they don't know which ones they've seen necessarily because they all look the same. So my thoughts are there should be some variety mixed in between the way your thumbnails look. What are your thoughts on that?
I have one channel that I run where the thumbnails are almost all identical. What happens is there's brightly colored yellow and black text on the left side and a picture, a photo, on the right-hand side. Essentially, everything looks almost identical, but that was done deliberately. And the reason why is because I already assumed that that channel will be successful one day. But part of getting it to be that way, it's a construction channel. The guy does construction work, right? So therefore, the yellow and black colors. As people start to see those thumbnails more and more when YouTube is recommending them, people will start to go to that channel because they'll say, oh, I've seen one of those videos before. I like that guy. I like the way they do. So that's deliberate, not necessarily recommended. That's because I decided that was the right idea for that channel. So that's the way that we went. On most other channels, the thumbnails are all over the place. In a series, yeah, you might do something like have a theme where you're doing something like putting a logo on every video, or you're using the same type of text, maybe just changing colors or something like that. But again, it all comes down to experiments. Everybody's got to make the right decision for their own channel. Hopefully we share some knowledge here that you find valuable. You add it to what you already know. We have a bit of discussion. Hopefully everybody's connecting with each other in the chat, talking about these things as well, so we can all get a lot more information, myself included. I learn every day, and I aim to improve every single day.
One of the things that we talk about every single day, do you think it's more important? Is time of day that we upload more important, or is regularity of day of week more important? Because a lot of people go back and forth, but what time of day should I upload? And then you end up with everyone uploading the same time of day, funnily enough. So in your opinion, is it time of day is more important for upload? Is it consistency? So if we I just want to pose 3 quick things to you, and you can kind of piece them together as you do. Okay. Would you say it's time of day? Is it day of week? Or is it just being consistent with every week at some point in the week? Between those 3 things, as you kind of marry those things together, what would your thoughts be on those?
So what happens is this: YouTube now has a tool, most of us have it, that tells you when your audience is online. You can read that. You're aiming for the best 48-hour period, ultimately 24 hours, but let's say the best 48-hour period, and you want to post your video at the beginning of that 48-hour period. Now, in the case of live streams or premieres, you have to make the right decision for yourself. In a premiere, you might want to post it when the crowd is heavy, not before it's heavy. If you're just posting a video with no premiere, you want to put it at the beginning. You might put it, like in my particular case, my videos are best put at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning before everybody gets online, so I can ride the wave up. But if you put a premiere out when nobody's online, you'll find yourself disappointed. You can get a better head start on that video if you're premiering it when you do it in heavy traffic. And for live streaming, I mean, that's a tough one because you got to do whatever life allows for you. You got to stream when you can stream. But if you can catch a heavy time when you know your audience is on, that's the best time to live stream. So YouTube has a tool, and if you don't have it yet, you can look at vidIQ. That's another plugin like TubeBuddy that has the tool available. There might be even others that people can catch that will tell you when the best time is for you. The only catch with this is if you start posting one video every Saturday at noon, let's just say whatever time zone you're in, eventually those stats will get skewed, and it will tell you that your crowd is online every week on Saturday at noon. So you may want to still experiment with that after a little while. When you're getting established and you're comfortable, you can think about putting your video out at the beginning of the second best 48-hour period and see if you get a bit of a boost there.
No, I love that answer. And you brought up another point of premieres. Now, I've gone back and forth on the thought of premiere because, one, you want to be present to engage the audience. So when you see those comments on a premiere, when it gets posted after and it's not a premiere, those comments aren't still, like, they're there but not there, if you know what I mean. How does that help your engagement rate? Because if I look at a premiere, I've got a lot of engagement for a premiere, but then after those comments, a lot of people don't watch it again, so I don't get those permanent comments down below. And those, like, as they go through. So if I'm looking at, so the pros to a premiere is you can advertise it ahead of time for people to see. But to me, I was wondering, is a con of doing a premiere the fact that the comments people make in the margin while they're interacting with the host and their interaction with each other, like what we have going on over in the margin right now, those ones don't get carried over. So how does that affect my engagement rate with YouTube itself?
It's a really interesting way to look at it because it's something I haven't considered the way that you're putting it exactly, right? What Brad is talking about specifically is comments in the chat, because a premiere comes with a live chat, right? As opposed to underneath. Now, here's the thing. So if you put out a video, even if you put it out at the right time, and let's just assume you have 500 subscribers, right? I don't recommend premieres for anybody with less than 500 subscribers. You could try, but many people, including myself, have gone through the disappointment of putting out a premiere and having nobody show up, right? When you have 500 subscribers, you've got enough of a base that almost no matter when you put it out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, somebody's going to show up, right? When you have 1,000, you've got enough of an audience that it really makes a difference. So here's the thought. If you're going to post a video, no matter when you're going to post it, are you going to get the same number of views? Let's say your video is 10 minutes long. Are you going to get the same number of views in that 10-minute video when you first put it out, 10 minutes after you post it, as you would if you premiered it or not? And in most cases, I find that premieres always give a video a head start. It's another big reason why I push them as well. In my opinion, where possible, everybody should always be uploading their videos and scheduling them to post, whether it's a premiere or not, always, because you give the YouTube algorithms time to catalog your video, catalog the description, the tags, the title, the thumbnail, everything else, so it can decide the best places for you to put it out. If you just post a video, if you upload and post immediately, YouTube doesn't have the time to catalog it, and it's probably going to give the algorithms a harder time guessing. Right? So I recommend premieres, but again, not necessarily if you're not at the 500 subscriber level yet, because believe me, it's disappointing when you do a premiere and nobody shows up, unless you know that you can get some people to come, maybe from leveraging your other social networks and things like that.
That brings up another question I was asked. I've got like 4 pages of questions here. And we're doing great. Honestly, Kev, if you need a glass of water, let me know, because I know you like to be hydrated and you want to keep the old pipes lubed up for sure. Yeah, so take that second right there as you go through. One thing I was thinking as you go through, as far as other forums to advertise, what are some other ways that you would suggest for people to be able to build up their YouTube brand? What are some other social networks? Just, you can throw out a few that you think marry well to YouTube for building that brand. So
Tuberchat, for instance, gets the most action on Instagram. But we also use Twitter, and the people who use Twitter happen to, like, Twitter makes it very easy to retweet something. So if you put out a video and somebody finds it interesting, it's literally one click. It's all done for them. They don't have to double check the title, double check anything else. So Instagram is great, but it's not clickable if you don't have 10,000 followers. So here's the problem. You get 100 times the traffic on Instagram these days, probably, than you do on Twitter or Facebook or anywhere else, but they can't click very easily. They have to really want to come to your content, right? But it does help. We do get traffic from that. Twitter is made for links, so it works out well. And then Facebook is something, because I'm a little bit older, I have a decent Facebook following, so I get a bit of action from there. I don't use Snapchat, so forgive me, I don't have an opinion when it comes to that. And TikTok, in the channels that I look after, I haven't found a way to use TikTok to a proper advantage yet.
Okay.
You know, I mean, TikTok is much more fun than most of the stuff I'm usually involved with, and I haven't found a way without singing or dancing to utilize it. Other than that, I mean, there's tons of stuff out there. There's Reddit. Reddit I'm big on, but Reddit is something that's easy to share, and it's made for finding content. That's what it's for. So I always recommend Instagram first, Facebook and Twitter if you're into them, and then as well Reddit. And then if you happen to use TikTok or Snapchat or any of the other stuff more so than I do, wherever your crowd is, wherever you hang out outside of YouTube, you're going to have the best reaction from people on a network you're actually involved in. If you don't use Reddit right now, you can't run out tomorrow and get 50 people to watch your video from a single Reddit post. That won't happen. You have to engage in that community the same way you might engage in Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or any of the other networks.
No, yeah, I like it. I was going to ask you, and this came up from another question. They said, if someone clicks on your video, like say you're going just straight clickbait, if someone clicks on your video and leaves your video right away, do you get credit for a view if they've been there for 5 seconds?
Forgive me, I can't be sure about that, but I wouldn't be surprised to know that there's a limit, whether it's 3 seconds, 5 seconds, or something like that, where YouTube will not give it to you. Because the same works for advertisements and stuff like that, right? Because they don't want accidental clicks. This is why clickbait is such a bad idea. Not to mention, that can really hurt your averages on your entire channel. And what that does is it tells the algorithm nobody's watching these videos, because if you have an average on your channel of people watching your videos for 3.5 minutes, it's better than 3 minutes and 15 seconds, right? So you don't want anything to hurt your progress. So, you know, just in the idea of clickbaiting, please never go for a quick win. The short term never outweighs the long term.
No, and as we go along, it's one of those things, just like, because all this stuff keeps coming up when you're talking, and this is one of the most common things people deal with, is straight up sub for sub, and that's what people often say. And then because what we've seen lately is we've seen a big purge. Myself, I've seen it. I lost a bunch of subscribers, and I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who did. What can you for people who are trying to figure out what exactly YouTube did, like I think it was around 3 weeks ago or so now, and ever since then, for me, I can't speak for you, I'm curious what's gone on with your channels. For me, the last 2 weeks, it's been like a yo-yo, whereas before that, it wasn't like that at all for me. So I'm curious to see from someone like yourself who sees way more channels than I do, because I only see my own little channel, and I'm in touch with a few other creators. So, but even then, you know, people are so guarded about their subs and what's going up and down, up and down. It's like one of those things. It's like, how much money do you make? No one wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I'm just curious your take on this. What was the reason for the purge? Just a quick answer, because I think most of us know, but for those who don't, and has it still been yo-yoing? Like, what's happening with that?
So it is. Everybody's being affected. I'll have to wait until after the weekend when this analytics settled to see if Tuberchat's back to where it should be, because it was doing just fine before all this, right? It's still doing fine, but it's just the numbers are crawling, right? So I did a video on my personal channel 2 or 3 months ago when the last purge happened. It was not like this. It wasn't as bad. It was one day, bang, we lost a bunch of subscribers, and I explained it all. However, this time is different. It started with a purge. Tuberchat lost 15 people plus whatever it gained that day on, I think it was September the 15th. And my personal channel lost 10 people plus whatever it gained that day, or somewhere thereabouts, right? Then the yo-yo started. So when you're losing people, you're losing whatever you gain that day plus whatever YouTube has dumped. So a lot of different people have been trying to experiment, trying to figure this out. Christian Nomad is somebody I keep talking about. He was my featured channel for today. He's in the chat here now, or was a moment ago. And I keep talking about him because he generously was sharing his information, not just with me. I caught him in a live stream talking about it, sharing with everybody. So he's done a bit of experimenting and inspired myself to do a bit of the same as well. And the idea is this. What it looks like is when you're connecting with people in growth streams like Tuberchat and others, YouTube is taking away a lot of invalid connections from a long time ago to replace your new connections. So it sucks, right? We don't want to gain 20 subscribers and then lose 20 subscribers. But if what YouTube is taking away are people who are never coming back to watch your videos, never coming back to leave another comment, never coming back to give you a thumbs up, did it really matter? It's not going to matter when you have 10,000 subscribers and you lose 20, I promise. It just feels bad for today. The other thought is that, Christian Nomad pointed this out today. He said it looks like what YouTube is doing right now is putting new connections on probation. So if you come to a growth stream like Tuberchat, you might connect with 10 or 20 new friends and family members, we like to call it, right? And then what happens is your stats might reset the next day and you've lost a bunch of older connections that really don't matter anymore and this and that. That's the thought. But the problem is also this. Now, YouTube wants to know, are you actually going to go back and watch any more of this person's videos? Or did the two of you subscribe together, watch a video, like each other, all on the same day and never go back? This is a big problem. This is why now I'm recommending to everybody to put more bells on. And Tuberchat puts every bell on. If every channel that goes on the screen gets the bell on at some point, right? And my notifications are out of control and I don't care. I love it, right? But the idea is now you're going to have these new connections fresh in your mind anyway. You're not going to forget in a week or two or three who was a new connection for you, but you want to get back as fast as you can and watch another video, get into a live stream and hang out. Give meaningful comments, not, hey, nice vid, here to support you and this and that. Something meaningful to show YouTube, hey, I'm actually genuine. And if we all do that, it'll be better for everybody. But we haven't seen, it doesn't look like we've seen the end of this yet, but it's happening to everyone.
No, and I like the fact you pointed out right in there, like they're basically judging the level of friendship. Like, yeah. How true is it? Is it a straight back and forth and then you never see each other again? And they're just saying, they're cutting those out from under your knees. So what you're saying is they could be, the ones we could be losing today could be people we connected with once 2 weeks ago and then never met again. And so they're cutting those ones out. So maybe that's become part of their new algorithm.
That's what it seems like. But again, this is my take on the progression that's come from things that have been said also by other people. I tell everybody all the time, but it's true. I love to learn about this stuff. I learn from creators of all sizes every single day. But like I said, Christian Nomad just pointed out a couple of things, and then I've just expanded on the idea that he kind of led me to believe. So it's a combination of a lot of different people doing a lot of work on here. Happy to see Rants with Rogers in the house, by the way.
Yeah, I had a chance to visit Rants earlier tonight and spent a few moments on his channel. Yeah, Rants with Rogers is a lot of fun. And all the people, and I'm sorry, as some of you have come through on the side there, normally I'm much better about introducing people, welcoming them in. Just with what we've got going on tonight, so many questions that you all put through your community. I want to make sure we get to all of those. I love the fact you guys are chatting with each other, and I love the fact you guys in the sidebar are answering each other's questions too as we go through, which is awesome. Like, that's what this community is all about, helping each other be a little bit better at what we do, and we can all learn something here. And one thing you just touched on, Kev, was the whole idea of live stream. And one thing I've noticed more and more lately is people going with the quote-unquote silent live streams. And you'll see, and I've logged on, I'll see them like, and it could be a picture of like, sometimes it's literally just someone's room and there's nothing going on. Sometimes they've put a little more effort into it. Like, say, it could be like a babbling brook, or it could be a waves. And some of those, I know that's a different niche where people are trying to put out calm, relaxing sounds. That's different. But what we're seeing more and more is silent live streams where someone like literally just, they'll turn on their camera in their kitchen, their dining room, whatever, and then just walk away for like 6-7 hours. So what are your thoughts? Now, I know, say they have 2 devices hooked up, they're getting, for 8 hours, they're getting 16 hours of watch time. What do you think that does to their channel, big picture, with the silent live stream? And do you think there's going to be a point where maybe YouTube is going to pull those hours back because they're really not doing anything? Like, I don't know. Just what are your thoughts on the silent live stream specifically?
So I've never done a live stream, a silent live stream, and I don't recommend it, right? So I understand why people do it, right? And it's not that there's anything like wrong with it. It's not against the terms of service, but one of the things that we should be clear about. So let's say you did a silent live stream. I don't know because I haven't done one, but I believe that if you do an 8-hour silent live stream, you will get 8 hours of watch time because at least you're active, right? But if you have a second device and you just turn it on and let it run, I don't believe YouTube is going to give you all the credit for 8 hours of live stream. So what happens is if you watch any live stream and you see how many viewers are watching, and then you look at the participants list in the chat, you will find usually those numbers are way off. There's more people watching than interacting. The other thing too is it seems to me that YouTube is giving about 1 view for every 5 minutes. Because let's just say you did an 8-hour live stream and one person sat and watched the whole time. It's not fair that you get 1 view when the person was there for hours and hours and hours and hours. So they calculate this. And like I said, I'm not saying I'm right because I don't even know how to figure out how to calculate that properly. But it seems to me from the math that I have been able to do, you get about 1 view for every 5 minutes. Now, the problem is this. With silent live streams, if you can't delete them right after, right? Like, let's say you get monetized, right? You can't delete them because you need those hours. Like, they got to hang in there, right? Now, as your channel's building, this is what people are seeing when they're coming to your channel, and not just viewers and potential subscribers, but maybe sponsors. And sponsors are going to look at your channel and they're going to decide based on your content whether they want. You can't just have one good video. You know, you do a review of a pen and it's a great pen, and then a pen company calls you and says, we want to give you a few $100s to do a video of our pens. But when they look at the rest of your channel and find that 30% of your videos are silent live streams where there's nothing going on, it's just something to consider. We don't know how people are going to react to it and this and that. So I don't recommend it. I understand why people do it, especially when you get to like the 3,000, 3,500 hours and you just want to get there. I promise you, I understand. But if your determination is to be on YouTube for the long term, whether you get that monetized this month or next month, is it really going to matter when you're expecting to be here for 10 years? Because what I don't wish for people is to go to all this trouble to get monetized and then make $5 or $10 a month, because I don't think any of us are here for that. And I understand $5 or $10 might be enough to be a significant amount of money to a lot of people, but I think we're all here for more than that. And that's what I wish for everybody. I want you to get out of YouTube what you want. My job is just to help you get there faster. And if I succeed, you'll help me grow as well, because word of mouth always turns around. You get generous people like Brad who are willing to share knowledge and use their platform today for the betterment of everybody. And then hopefully, like I said, everybody will get what they want. I just don't want to see anybody struggle, especially after the hard work. We only have to do it once. Get your 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of real watch time if you can, and then you're off to the races. You'll have bigger fish to fry on the other side of the fence.
You bring up a really good question, a really good point, and this is one thing that comes up constantly. To be monetized, you need, correct me if I'm wrong, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours, correct?
240,000 minutes, yeah.
240,000 minutes, thank you. So when we look at that, the big debate is at what point you need to get those 4,000 hours within 1 year. So what I've heard, and I've heard 2 different sides to this, so I'm really curious to hear your answer. One is when your year's up, you lose all 4,000 hours. It's like someone just like pulls out the floor and they drop and you're back to 0. The other option is each day resets by 1 day. So your 365 days pushes 1 day along. So I've heard those two different arguments. I've got my thoughts on which one I think it is. I'm not going to put those out because I want to hear what your thought is. First, I'll tell you whether or not I think you're right. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but those are two big arguments I've heard. So where are your thoughts on the 4,000 watch hours and that?
Well, it absolutely is a rolling 365 days. So what happens is if you don't make the year, and I know a lot of people talk about it like it matters, but it doesn't matter because either you make it or you don't make it, right? There's no sense in spending 11 months, doing what you're doing and then racing in the last month to try to get there. It doesn't matter because here's the thing. Let's say you don't make the date and the first video that you put up 366 days ago, you're losing the hours from that video. How many hours did you have on that video? You know what I mean?
I look at my channel and the amount of hours, and I started my channel late April 24th, I think it was, of 2020. And if I look at the amount of hours I accumulated between April and May combined was such a small amount that for me to be rolling over those days, I'm not taking a big step back. But I hear so many people are afraid that if they don't, say they start on January 1st, that if they don't hit it by December 31st, they're afraid that, boom, they've lost everything. And you hear this consistently, that this is a major concern of people.
Well, it's like I said, I don't want to be nonchalant about the idea that if you make it, you don't make it. It sucks when you have to lose anything at all, right? So I understand that everybody wants to get their hours by the time they get to the year. But like I said, you should be doing 100, maybe 1,000 times better for hours in a day, a year later than you were 366 days ago anyway. So the tiny amount that you're going to lose compared to what you're gaining every day, as long as you're always gaining more than you're losing, then eventually you make it anyway, right? You just keep focusing on what's going on ahead. So there's a lesson in this also for anybody that's on the way. My friend Vern's Junk Closet put it the best way. If you're approaching 500 subscribers and you haven't started working on your hours yet, start working on your hours now. I push people right from the beginning. It doesn't matter how small your channel is. You can get working on it right away. You can swap playlists. There's legitimate ways that you can pump your hours up and increase it without going too far. You know what I mean? What I try to do is help get people to swap playlists with each other for the purpose of gaining watch hours, but then you're also gaining a friend, right? Trading favors with somebody, and they will hopefully come back and support you in the long term as well. You'll get much more of a benefit than the original few hours you got by swapping playlists in the first place.
So your understanding, that gets to building up watch hours. Your understanding is that and you and I have swapped playlists in the past, but your understanding of swapping playlists is the fact that if you press play on a playlist and watch it for 6 hours, are we better off running full playlists, or are we better off swapping 5-hour, 8-hour playlists? Because if your playlist is long, as we know, some people have got playlists because they've been around for a while, or what they do, it just lends itself to really, really long playlists of 20, or it could be 2 or 3 days worth.
Yep.
Running 2 days in a row, are you going to get credit for 2 days in a row, or are you better off putting that into bite-sized piece of 6 or 7 hours?
So with the channels that I manage outside, none of those had to do any of this, playlists. The minimal amount of playlists running that I did on any of those, they were just grown organically because these rules didn't exist when those channels started anyway. So they were built just on quality content, right? However, myself, my personal channel, and Tuberchat, and Kristen Welton, my girlfriend who's in the chat as well, has recently been monetized, as well as many other people who are here with us now who've been through Tuberchat and the system that we're doing over there, as well as many other, hundreds of different places maybe, have all been monetized based on this idea. So the length of the playlist, I run playlists for people sometimes for 1 hour, sometimes for 4 days, and it's all worked. Right? And I've been monetized. I've monetized my 2 channels. Kristen's monetized her channel on this model. So I don't think that there's any difference in length of playlist. I think that it all seems to count.
No, it's good. And Black Brand Friday, You said, wow, so if I don't hit the 4,000, it goes back to zero? No, it's a rolling. It does not reset to zero. This is what we were just talking about a moment ago. Your watch hours do not reset to zero if you don't make it within the year. It just rolls over by 1 day. Bobby Crush, no, I'm not worried about being mistaken for an American. I'm a proud Canadian. I live in Canada's capital. I'm right here in Ottawa in a beautiful autumn day right here. Kev, I love the way we cover those watch hours. If we take a look, though, Kev, say we're looking at when we reply to people's comments for engagement rate. Engagement rate, if I give you a reply, how does that differ than if I just give you a heart? Or does it count as a double engagement? Because what you'll see is people who have larger channels, they'll just give hearts, and I understand why, because of time. But is there more of an advantage for people with smaller channels to give a written comment of more than 2 or 3 words, but as well as a heart? Or if you give just a heart, is that equal to, or does it count as double? I'm just not sure, because the heart everyone seems to do, and then there's the verbal comment.
So we won't be able to know the exact calculations that the algorithms use, but every interaction helps, every single one. So here's another thought just to expand on your idea. So the simple answer is yes, comments are better than hearts. Hearts and comments are better than, one or the other, right? But when you're leaving a comment, and I'm not great at this either, like because I'm trying to handle a lot of different comments, not that I have any more than anybody else, but we all have our work to do, right? But when you're commenting on something, if you can keep the conversation going as opposed to closing it off, you open it up for even more interaction. So comments rule, right? A comment is always better than a heart. But if you can find a way to keep the conversation going, as opposed to somebody comes to your video, they say, hey, nice walk down the street, thanks for taking us along, right? We see that all the time. So if you just close it off and said, thanks, bud, for watching, see you soon, then you might be able to find another way to say something like, hey, if you do any walks like this, I'd love to see. Maybe that can spark them to respond again, and you'll find yourself with an extra comment. It's just a thought, but it's just to expand on what you're talking about.
No, for sure. One question I got from someone else is, do you have a standard daily YouTube to-do list? So when you wake up in the morning, do you have a standard daily to-do list for YouTube?
Not a standard one. I should get a little bit better with my schedule, because with particularly Tuberchat, that's the channel that I worry about the most. It's so unbelievably routine, and now we've done it like 87 times, right? That it's only enough work for one person anyway. But I typically do the same things. I rarely forget. However, it would make it a lot more efficient to actually, if you're the kind of person who uses lists or schedules, then it's a great idea. Please, yes, absolutely get into it. It's something I intend to do because it can make you more efficient, not just in like not forgetting what to do or like, but figuring out where you have the right amount of time for the different tasks you have to perform. We all have work. I can't tell you how many times I hear from creators that their comments get behind, right? Because it feels like too much. It's like, oh my God, I've got 100 comments in there. I'm never going to get them done. It really doesn't take that long if you use a tool like TubeBuddy and stuff like this, or whatever you learn to use that. But you got to do it. So it's better off to spend the 5 minutes a day catching up with your comments in the beginning if you can, or 10 minutes or whatever it's going to be. But a schedule of some sort, or at least a to-do list, can kind of give you an idea of how much you've got on your plate and when you can get it done. So forgive me, I'm expanding, but I don't particularly have a standard to-do list, but I'm getting to be in need of one. I've made a couple of mistakes, nothing big, but you forget to put a post out or something like that, and then you just, well, hey, I lost opportunity there. If you forget to post your video on Instagram when you do it all the time, you know that maybe you lost 10 people or 20 people, and that can make a big difference in pushing your videos.
No, and I was thinking about that too, because when we look at when you look at the comments and everything else, it's it really is one of those things where it's one of those things where it just can make it a bit of a challenge as you go through. I was going to ask, people often wonder, does SEO beat watch time CTR? And can you explain what watch time CTR is for people?
Click-through ratio, yes. Okay, sorry. Say again. Ask me the question again if you don't mind.
Is SEO more important, or is watch time? Like, as we're comparing these things, because people often feel like they can only focus on one or the other. So should they be thinking about getting watch time, SEO, like as we're trying to build these brands?
Okay, so Sean Cannell and the other big YouTubers that I choose to believe and respect, and the advice that they always give is minutes matter most, right? So it's a cliche way of putting it. Minutes matter most. So you want people watching for as long as possible. That's the biggest thing that you have to focus on, right? Whatever that takes. So you decide for yourself. Now, when it comes to SEO, it's very important. But again, everybody's limited by their time and by their work. If you have the time to be able to really, some people might spend 5 minutes doing their tags. Some people might spend hours, and it's not that one is better than the other. You have to make the right decisions for yourself, and you've got to be able to do it. Some people work full time and just can't spend the time that people who are not working as many hours, more, some people have more free time than others to work on their YouTube stuff. So you have to make the decisions for yourself. But again, whatever you can do to get people watching your videos more, you're better off putting more effort into the production. And I don't mean production as editing. I mean the actual video, like filming the content of the video, than the SEO. But it's all very important. So it's a thin line there,
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, because we often get into the debate, and I've had this conversation just this week, quantity versus quality. Now, assuming you can keep your quality within a standard you're comfortable with, because some people spend so much time perfecting a video that they lose out on getting one posted that week per se. So say someone is on an upload rate of posting, say their goal is to post once a week, and they're not happy with their video as 1 week is nearing end because they don't have a consistent day. Are they better off to wait the week to put it out till it's quote unquote perfect? Or would your suggestion is put it out to a level that they can live with and get it going?
So where possible, you want to be putting out at least one quality piece of content every week, right? And if you only do that and you never quit, you will eventually find some level of success that's guaranteed. YouTube is just built that way, right? So that's our baseline. As long as you can get something out once a week, but you got to get to that point as fast as you can. So then the idea might come, okay, what's better? Putting out 2 better videos a week than 3 not as good videos? Again, you have to make those decisions for yourself. I believe quality is going to beat quantity. And the reason why is because when you're working on quality, and it's up to you to decide what quality is. It's not up to me or Brad or it's not anybody else's business. It's your channel. It's up to you. You can ask for advice and help and things like that, but it's up to you to decide what quality is. One of the things you might want to think about is, are you making a video, for instance, for the people that you already know, or are you making a video that could go viral? Because we all wish for that, right? Let's be honest. Everybody wishes they could have a video and next week you'll have 1 million views and get the wonderful surprise. But is the video that you're making, does it even have the possibility? Because if you're just firing out videos as fast as you can, you may not be even giving a video the chance to go viral. So it's a thought in the background of what you're talking about. I believe quality beats quantity as long as you're at least making something weekly. If you take a week off, it hurts every time. I promise you. I've done it again and again on every channel that I manage. The second we take a week off, we suffer the following month.
So you're better, yeah, because I did a live stream earlier this week, and I was chatting with 2 other creators after it was done. For those of you who haven't done, we're using StreamYard right now. Well, after we close off the broadcast for all of you to see, Kevin and I are able to carry on this conversation. It's just not posted publicly. So what I was sharing with these 2 creators, both of them took some time off because they were feeling burned out. And that's common for a lot of YT creators, because as you can appreciate, Kevin, as all of you who are part of the conversation can, it takes up a lot of time between comments and editing and posting and everything. Like, And sometimes you walk that fine line. And I want to come back to that. But before we lose our train of thought here, a question from Rance with Rogers is, can you over-upload in your opinion?
Only in the idea, I don't know, flooding a channel. I don't know if it's possible, right? So on the surface, without having any time to think about it, my answer would be I don't think flooding a channel with a bunch of stuff that's not meant to even be successful would be any kind of an idea. But then again, you never know, right? I would rather advise everybody to spend more time working on stuff that you think has a chance of being successful than just firing stuff out. But then again, you never know, right? The problem is some of these stories, like, did you hear about this TikTok guy who made the ocean spray video? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So, but that was a shot in the dark, right? That was like, it just happened by random. And we think that we think that guy went out and said, I'm going to make a great video, but that's not what happened. He just made something the same as every other video that's out there on TikTok, but that one flew. And we see that stuff all the time. On most of the channels that I manage, there are breakout videos, but we didn't get to pick what they were going to be.
Yeah.
So everything was always planned with the idea that it could be successful, but you never get to know. The crowd always decides. We don't get to decide. So I wouldn't flood a channel with content. But then again, if you have a plan and you have an idea and you think it might work, maybe that is the answer. If you're doing something daily, lots of people are doing these shorts that we're talking about now, and I'm sure after today, a couple more people in the chat will probably get into it. I recommend giving it a try if you think it's appropriate for your channel. And we're going to see a lot of this. We're seeing creators flooding. Maybe they're not flooding in the sense that I'm talking about a moment ago, but they're doing at least daily, and some platforms like Instagram reward that, right? If you're posting 4 times a day, it's better than 1. I don't, that's why I'm not there. I can't post 4 times a day on Instagram. It's not going to work. I'm a better off over here in YouTube, where we can post once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week, and that can lead to success, right?
No, yeah, I love it. I was going to ask you, we were talking about early engagement earlier. If you get a thumbs up versus a thumbs down, they both count as engagement, but does one hurt you versus help you, or it doesn't matter because you've got people involved in your channel? So if you get thumbs up or thumbs down, besides your ego being hurt, it doesn't actually hurt your YouTube standing.
So every interaction helps the algorithm because it is engagement, but there has to be mathematical calculations in the back of all their like mainframe computers and all this stuff that are dealing with the algorithm, figuring out, because their algorithm goes way beyond what we're talking about with like a simple, a thumbs up is worth 2, a thumbs down is worth 1. That's not the way the calculation goes, because they take into account percentages. Sometimes you get, YouTubers that get trolled. They haven't even put the video out yet. There's 250 thumbs down on it because you could buy that. You know what I mean? And in most cases, it disappears after. But YouTube knows when they look at the ratios, the algorithm knows what's natural and what's not. So if your channel, for instance, has a typical, 90 to 95% likes over dislikes, then when something comes up and a video, gets 60% thumbs down, YouTube's going to say, there's no way, something's wrong here. I think, and I can't even say that I'm right until we get a hold of a YouTube engineer and can give them some truth serum to make sure they're telling us the actual fact. I don't know how we're ever going to figure these calculations out, but my belief is that interaction is better than no interaction. But I have my own beliefs about the YouTube thumbs down button. I think it's the most evil creation in the history of the planet. Reddit seems to like it, and I don't know what if Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, if they don't need it, then what does YouTube need it for? What are you holding on to? I'm going to get all upset and bent out of shape talking.
I wasn't trying to get you worked up with the thumbs down question. It was just one of those things that hit me there. As people, like the majority of people, their goal is to get monetized at some point. Mm-hmm. It's going to take longer for some than it will for others, based on either frequency of uploading content, could be type of content, or it could be just a myriad of other things. Like for myself, like you and I joked with this before, Kev, like for the first 3 months of my YouTube journey, I was using 2 pieces of 2x4 and my iPhone 8 to film everything. Now I've upgraded to using a tripod with my iPhone 8. Like that's all I have to film with. And I know a lot of people, they're using a lot of like, they're spending a lot of money as they go out there. They're spending a lot of money to try and build a brand that they're not making any money off of. And honestly, everyone does their own thing with their own money. Like I'm no judge of that. And if YouTube is a hobby for you, like anything else is, like some people spend money on bicycles. Some people spend money on video games. Some people spend money on YouTube. Some people spend money on cigarettes, right? Everyone has their thing. Everyone has their vice. So if YouTube is your vice and you're spending money on it, so be it. If that just becomes your outlet, if you can afford to do it, it's fun for you, go for it. But if you were going to suggest what's one thing that, in your opinion, is worth spending the money on, would it be something like vidIQ or TubeBuddy, or would it be having a better microphone or a better camera? Like because people don't have unlimited deep pockets, but if they're going to put money into one thing as they start creating, as they want to build what would be the one thing you'd suggest?
That's interesting that you asked that question. So let me tell you the reason why I would lean towards maybe a microphone, but not necessarily the microphone. One of the biggest problems that smaller YouTubers or newer YouTubers face is audio in their video. You can lose a lot of viewers by having bad audio, right? However, not the only reason that I am lucky to understand that is because I used to work in radio and my job was audio my whole life. So you won't find a video that I produce that has terrible audio. I'm not saying they have great, because if we're outside and we don't have a microphone or any of that stuff, we're just using a phone.
Wait a second here. Wait a second, Kev. So the challenge is out there. Go to Kevin Kaye's personal channel, watch 10 videos from beginning to end, and try and find some video with bad audio. And just 10. Just watch 10, any of 10 of Kevin's videos from beginning to end, and look for bad audio, and give him a comment in there saying audio is good or audio is bad. Wouldn't you suggest that, Kev? Isn't that the best way to go?
I don't know about that. I got to backpedal now, because we've got too many live streams where we're out with just the phone, right? So my live stream doesn't sound any better than your live stream, that's for sure. But from the first video that I produced, I was able to do good audio. It only takes a second. I need to make a tutorial for this for everybody so that you can improve your audio. But if there's a way to improve your audio, whether it's a microphone or otherwise, that might have to be my #1 suggestion, because it matters. It matters, I think, even more than your video quality, than your lighting, because people will just turn it off if they can't hear it. See a lot of videos, and I don't want to nitpick, but you see a lot of videos where the intro is well produced. So you have a creator that has an intro that's nice and loud, and then all of a sudden the audio drops off while they're talking. It's not their fault. It's not everybody works in radio for their whole life, so they don't understand audio production. And like I said, it's very simple, not necessarily in the programs that we use. A lot of people are using Final Cut or KineMaster or Premiere or any myriad of other programs that are out there. But audio is a big thing. I may just be saying that because I have a place in my heart for audio, but it is something to consider, because when you're talking on a phone, when you're live streaming, you got your phone like this, the microphone is either over here or whatever, wherever it is, right? But if you have a microphone facing you, you can do better. It just sounds a little bit better, no matter how bad that microphone is.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people where my audio is hit and miss, I'll be honest. Because a lot of what I do, as many of you here, you followed my channel, is outside. And because I'm active outside, I can't have a mic strapped on me. So every now and then, like a couple weeks ago, I put out a video where the wind kept coming through and it was killing me. And that's just one of those things where I didn't realize to the degree how bad it was till it was after his post. I just kind of accepted my losses on that one and moved on. But I completely get that as you go through. Like the audio is just so big. And I think what we're also seeing too is you don't have to spend a ton of money on video equipment and still be able to get positive feedback, still be able to build your brand and get your channel out. And I think we're seeing that more and more. And some people, if you're outdoors, you have more of a challenge than those people who are indoors, for sure, just because you can't control the environment, whether it be lighting, whether it be the wind, whether it be the weather itself. At least for myself, I always notice that as well. If you were, they have a free version of TubeBuddy. They also have a paid version of TubeBuddy. I'm going to jump to a conclusion here that you have the paid version of TubeBuddy.
I have just the first level. So they offer many different subscriptions, and I do pay for the first level of it. So it's $10 a month or whatever it is. If you sign up for TubeBuddy and you're considering paying for it and you don't pay for it right away, they'll send you an email to give you a code, and you can buy it for like $70 for the year instead of $10 a month or something like that. And forgive me, remember the price? It was probably 70 US. You know, I'm in Canada. It's different for me and this and that. But I pay for the first level, so let's just call it $10 a month-ish, right?
No, and in your opinion, would you suggest TubeBuddy or vidIQ? I've heard vidIQ. I've never tried vidIQ, but between the two, how is it impacted your time on YouTube?
They're similar. I absolutely love TubeBuddy, so I use it all the time because there are simple ways, and I go through these tutorials once in a while, right? First of all, with the comments, that saves all the time. That's why I'm always caught up with comments, because TubeBuddy has a system that allows that. But as well with the tags. Tags are very important, and determining your title, you can give a little bit of a test to wording your title different ways and getting a bit of a score where TubeBuddy can tell you the likeliness that your title is going to do better if you word it one way than another way. So I absolutely love it. I put a link to TubeBuddy and everything because they have their affiliate program as well, right? So vidIQ is a little more hardcore to get into affiliate stuff and this and that, but TubeBuddy's something anybody can get into, become an affiliate, and you can start earning a small fraction of money right away. For those of you who are serious about monetization, AdSense is not it, right? So maybe you want to build in other ways to earn income on your channels so that you have a big wheel and many different cogs in that wheel. And then if one disappears or doesn't work as well as the others, you've got a lot of different sources of income, all from, you know, one YouTube channel, let's just say. So I recommend TubeBuddy for a number of reasons, but I absolutely use it. I use it every day on every video.
When you talk about AdSense money, say someone hits their 4,000 hours today, and say it takes, I don't know, you know better than I would, say it takes a week to actually get monetized or so. After that, what would be a likely outcome of them to be able to expect, like, financially at the end of like their first month? Are we talking like 5 cents for a month? Are we talking $5? I have no idea.
So it's hard to put it in those terms because literally every channel is different. However, the average YouTuber after monetization makes $2 for every 1,000 views on average, right? So if your channel is at the point that you're getting, let's say 1,000 views a week, right? You're making $8 a month. And it's probably more because I haven't seen a channel make that little yet, but we just don't know. That unfortunately is an answer where every single channel is unique. But AdSense money alone takes longer than I think a lot of people think it does to start to build up. You don't get paid until you get $100 in at least Canada and the United States, if I'm right about that. So if your first month, you make 10 or 20 or 50 or even $90, you're not getting it for another month. So that's something to think about as well. But that's why, things like Amazon affiliates or other affiliate programs, or things like you can add on TubeBuddy, and there's lots of other ways to monetize your channels. You can get into sponsorships, selling things, merchandise, and paid sponsorships and other things like this. It's something to consider because AdSense alone is a long, very steep mountain, let's say.
Yeah, so AdSense would basically just gets your foot in the door, but that's really not the best way to make any money off YouTube. It's going to be through affiliate links and everything else.
It's not that it's not the best. I mean, it's a good foundation, right? But as an example, so one of the groups of channels that I manage. It used to be just one channel, and it got to the point that it was making about $4,000 US with less than 10,000 subscribers per month. However, only I'm trying to remember exactly how much, less than $1,000 was AdSense money. So there's super chats, there's memberships, there's affiliate money, there's Amazon stuff going into there. So I'd call it anywhere from 500 on the safer end. Let's say 500 a month out of the $4,000 was AdSense money. So it's the smallest piece of the pie when you start talking about super chats, memberships, and things like that.
Yeah. So when you talk about the 4,000 a month, where would the lion's share of that income be coming from? If 500 is from AdSense, where would the lion's share of that money be made for someone who's trying to build up their YouTube finances?
Well, so in that case, it's super chats, but it has to do with the particular crowd, right? Because the followers of that channel are of a certain, let's say, age.
Can you explain what a super chat is for people who don't know?
Oh, so super chat is something that's available to most monetized channels. What that allows is for somebody to basically give the creator a tip, if you want to call it that. And what happens is they might say, you know, here's $1, or here's $5, or it gets as high as, you know, here's $100, here's $500. I don't want to get everybody excited because it's not likely that happens on most channels when you first get monetized, but it does build up and it can help. And people can say like, here's $5, thanks for all you do. Here's $2, thanks for all you do. It really starts to add up. But when you think about like how much money can come in one shot, even if it's $1, do you know how many, we already talked about this. You usually have to have 500 views to get $1 out of AdSense money. And it can be done in a 1 or 2 super chats. You know what I mean? So that's a thought, right? Everybody's got to make their own decisions on their own channels, like whether to make these things available. But I can't imagine any channel not benefiting from that avenue.
I only have a couple more questions for you. You've been so good with your time. I want to make sure that I want to be respectful of that because you've had a long day, I know, going on here.
That's okay.
I want to point out. So if you're thinking about like what are 3 things you should be doing to grow your channel if you're below 1,000 subs? 3 things you should be doing to grow your channel if you're below 1,000 subs. What are those 3 things you'd recommend?
First of all, quality content. At least once a week. You have to focus on that because that's the ultimate, right? Secondly, supporting other creators is very, very important. YouTube is a social network. We may think of it like a television station. We each have our own television station. We're each making our own television show, but that's not it. If you're out there supporting other creators, you will find it coming back to you, and you need that. So first of all, you need to be seen. Your branding, you need your channel name out there, leaving comments, generous comments to other people. If you want 3 comments, you go and leave 10, right? But they will start to come back and you will get subscribers for that reason. The next thing is collaborating, like what we're doing right now. You can see from people already mentioning in the chat right from the very beginning, hey, Kevin, I just subscribed to your channel because I will gain a good handful of subscribers likely today from this collaboration alone. And I don't have to do anything except sit here and talk, right? That goes for everybody. And hopefully when Brad was with me a couple of weeks ago, he gained a few subscribers, hopefully, when we were doing a live stream on my own channel as well. Collaborating in many different ways can really help. This is the reason why Elton John and Lady Gaga will sing a song together. The Elton John people, more of them care about Lady Gaga now after they sang that song, and more of the Lady Gaga people respect Elton John for having sang with her now that they've done it. Before so, maybe not as much. So this is why collaborating would be, I'd say, it falls very high on the list, but because you're asking me to pick off 3 things, I'll say collaborating is the third, but supporting other creators is almost as important when you're trying to grow as making your quality content.
No, it's one of those things, especially, and what would be the difference for things once you're over 1,000 subs? For people who are finally make it over that hump, what would be something that you'd say you're over 1,000 subs, this is what you got to make sure you're doing to make sure you do this part?
Once you get over the 1,000, it still goes back to the same thing. It's quality content. It doesn't change, right? Lots of people will say the grind never stops. So here's the thing: for everybody who's aiming for 1,000 subscribers right now, aim for 2. Aim for 2,000, because 1,000 you'll fly right by it then. You know, it doesn't feel like it today, but I promise you will. And there's bigger fish to fry later on, right? As you start to approach 10,000 subscribers, the ideas for the things that you need to focus on change. But if one of the things I can say to anybody, even before you hit the 1,000 subscribers, is you got to read your analytics. You got to look at it. Even if you don't like it, even if you don't understand it, then you still have to look, because you will notice patterns. And again, I keep going back to this. You want to go back over your old videos, especially around the 1,000 subscriber mark. You want to make sure you're duplicating your own success. So you want to find what you're doing right. You're not always looking for the mistakes that you make and saying, I don't want to make those mistakes. You're looking for the stuff that you did that worked out well, whether you expected it or not, so that you can duplicate that success. I don't know if that's any kind of a good answer for what you're talking about, because pardon me, most of the stuff that we do doesn't change at 1,000 subscribers.
No, like for me, the big change I noticed was after 1,000 was it just you end up getting that social credibility where people look in and they see the 1K. It's just like if you have a video that it manages to get 1K views, there just becomes like a social credibility, a social acceptance of that video or of that channel. That's what you notice. You're likely right.
You're likely right that that's the case.
Because for me, like you said, like subs were going a certain direction, and then we hit September 15th or whatever, then it became the yo-yo, which we're not going to touch on that again, but we've already done that. Okay, if anyone has got a question, we're gonna be done in 10 minutes, and we're gonna have a hard cap then. That way, Kev can get back to his life and rest those pipes of his, because I know
this stuff. It's not going to stop. When we get off the live stream today, I'm still going to be talking about this stuff to Kristen and Kira for hours.
No, and I love it. And honestly, like for those of you who don't know Kev, you can see he is so giving of his time. He is so passionate about what he does, and he's so willing to share what he knows. And as a lot of you people know, not everybody's like that. So like I sincerely appreciate Kev, you giving the time just to help out my little channel here as we go along. It really does make a big difference, because you've already had a long day. You've had like. And as I saw someone in the comments was saying, in fact, it's like a full-time job. It really is. And Kev's already now he's working overtime. And in case you're wondering, Kev's not making a lot of money being online here with me right now.
This is entertainment to me. I'm happy that we're doing this. So thank you for having me. But I'm happy that we're doing this, because the other thing too, like, so let me throw 2 cents of advice that nobody asked for into the chat, right? One of the things you might want to think about doing, because StreamYard and the kind of panels we're doing right now are so popular, if you can model yourself to be the perfect guest, and I'm not saying I'm the perfect guest, I'm just saying if you can aim to be the perfect guest, you will find lots of creators reaching out to you for the purpose of collaborating the way that we are, and you will benefit so unbelievably well that you can't even imagine it right now. The kind of respect, the things that will come from it after. From the interviews I did 6 months ago, I still get subscribers coming to me saying, hey, I saw you on a video with this person talking about YouTube, and therefore I subscribe to you now. And it never stops.
No, and this is one thing, and this is, I'm about to like completely steal a line from Kevin right here that I've heard him say many times, the fact that YouTube is one of the only places when you put a video on a long time ago, it will still help you going forward. So your old content, as much as some people, and I hear this often, where people take off their first few videos because they look at them, they're mortified. Or as my friend Francis said, they can be cringeworthy when they look at them. And I look at that and I think, but when you're over in hours and you pull that, you lose all those hours. But part of that, I don't think, Kev, correct me if I'm wrong, those old videos where like they're quote unquote cringeworthy, or they're not up to the quality and level of everything else. In your opinion, would you leave them on, or would you pull those ones off unless they're really off brand?
No, the brand. Okay, because you said it, I was already lining up to mention that. You have to make the right decision for every channel based on its branding. On my personal channel, like my Kevin Kaye channel, I'm going to leave my first videos up forever. It doesn't matter how mistakes I've made. My #1 video has editing mistakes in it. I don't expect anybody to pick it off, but it's there. But I'm still going to leave it up anyway. It doesn't matter, because that channel is for experimenting and fun, and you know, it doesn't affect it. However, when you start getting into these YouTubers that have 1 million subscribers and many more, you could understand that they may not want to have the first video that they ever made. That could actually hurt them. But I could be wrong. And like I said, that comes down to everybody making their own decisions. So what I would always suggest to people, if you're ever thinking about taking stuff off because you're embarrassed of it, or you don't like it, or it's so old, you're so much better now, think about making it either especially unlisted, because if anybody outside has linked to it, they can still get to it if you make it unlisted. If you make it private, it's gone, right? But if you make it private and don't actually delete it, maybe a year from then, you might change your mind and say, no, now I want all my old videos on my channel. You just, again, it's a one-by-one decision, I think, that people have to make, right?
You bring up a point there I never thought of. So if I have a video on there and I look at it, I think, oh my goodness, I can't believe what I did there. If I move it from public to private, do I lose the hours and the watch I've already accumulated?
Yep, because the term is public watch hour. Public watch.
So if someone tries to like basically tuck it away, as soon as they do that, they all those hours, all those likes, all the algorithm, everything they've gained is gone.
That's right. So I'll show you an example. When I first started my personal channel, there was a video. There was a Christmas song, if you remember. What's it called again? Baby, It's Cold Outside. And it was very controversial a couple of Christmases ago, right? This and that. So I went running like right away. Which version of this can I put up? What's not copyright protected, right? So I got the Rod Stewart and Dolly Parton version of the song. I put it up as fast as I could. So just by luck, some blogger did an article called, you know, we lost the war on this song. Here's 10 places to watch it. And he put my video. My video was last in the list of 10. And I got about 2,000 views off of that blog post right away. Wow. I couldn't believe it. I had to go through my analytics to figure out what on earth was going on. So instead of taking it off, because I don't own that song, it's not copyright strike. It's just copyright protected. So they will get paid whatever ads run on that song. I don't care, right? But I made it unlisted because the link in that guy's blog post might still get more views over the coming years. I don't have to have that video available for anybody to find on my channel because it has nothing to do with me. So it doesn't make sense for me to have it there, right? But at the same time, I still get the benefit of more views, more likes, and it's evergreen content. So every Christmas, that video will probably get a little bit of a pump, which gives me the opportunity for possibly another subscriber. So
that's very different. So there's a big difference between going private and going unlisted. So unlisted means that if I tried to search up that video now, I wouldn't be able to find it, but you don't lose the watch hours for it. And you don't use the likes.
Watch hours you lose because the watch hours that we need are public watch hours. Okay. It only applies to public videos. If you make a video private or unlisted, you lose them, right?
So how does that video being unlisted help you?
Because when that blogger made a link to my video and embedded it in their blog post, now if somebody finds that guy's blog post, they can still watch the video, but you can't find it on YouTube or search for it. So I leave it there, just not like, you know, not really not to break the guy's blog post, but that's an added benefit to it. Yeah. Like I said, I can still get a few likes and things like that. If anybody outside has linked to your video and it's unlisted, you can still get likes, views, and possibly even subscribers from that video, because otherwise you were just going to delete it anyway. So unless it's terrible and you really don't want it up at all, then you could think about putting it unlisted, and then maybe you still get that tiny bit of benefit. That video that I'm talking about now, I think, has 5,000 views or something like that. So
that's amazing.
Right?
Victoria asked a good question. She says, do they come back? Do the hours come back after you put them back up? So if you moved it to unlisted or private, then you bring it back from the dead, what happens to those hours and those likes and comments?
I can't be sure about that because I haven't tried, but I always bet on the side of safety. So I would bet that you would probably lose the hours and they may not come back.
Okay.
It's a consideration. But again, I don't know. I didn't try. We could try. Anybody could try. You could put up a video make it, get a few hours on it, make it unlisted or private, and then make it public again and see what happens. Somebody's got to do the experiment to know whether that actually works. It's an interesting thing for if that question ever comes up, maybe I can find one and see if I can do something on another channel that's not monetized or something like that.
Yeah. No, it is fascinating. You mentioned the difference. You mentioned like the copyright stuff, and that's one of my last points I had here, because we haven't really talked about music and adding, like, because a lot of people add short video clips from movies, or they add clips of songs, and that becomes like, it really brings a different, like, first of all, very time consuming for those people who do it, but it looks awesome. So I've got two. This is a two-part question for you. One, what is typically the amount of a song that we're allowed to use before YouTube slaps us? Not necessarily, because there's two things. You can get a copyright strike because you're claiming someone else's work as your own. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Or you basically you're giving up, like, that song. You're giving up any money you'd make off that. You're giving it to them. Like I did a Bring Sally Up challenge, and there's a song that goes Bring Sally Up, Bring Sally Down. So I didn't get a copyright strike because I just said whatever happens, they can just take it, right? Yeah. So for me, but what's how much of a song can you use before you have to give any AdSense money you'd make off of it to someone else?
So none. There are some videos that are listed, and you can go in the audio library on the left side of your YouTube studio, and you can search for any song you want. Most of the millions of popular songs are there. And there are some songs where sharing is enabled. And what that means is you'll get half the money for your ads, right? Okay. Better than nothing. If you insist on using it, that's fine, right? But you can't use any. So the music industry is an unbelievably evil animal when it comes to copyright and protecting and the nonsense that goes on. And I spent most of my adult life over there, so at least a bit of knowledge when it comes to that, right? So you can't use any. So if somebody tells you can use 8 seconds or 4 seconds or 3 seconds, or you could just put that disclaimer up that says, I don't use this, it's for evaluation, that is not true. So what you can do, if you're questioning it, is as long as you're sure you're okay with not getting paid for your video, then you can try using something, put the video up, but don't publish it right away. Let YouTube work its magic on the video, and they will tell you this video is going to get a copyright claim or whatever. On my channel, I used to be a DJ. I used to produce some remixes of songs, right? There's about 35 of them on my channel. 20 of them I cannot get paid for. They have copyright claims on them, which means the artist will get paid. Doesn't matter to me. I got paid for those 20 years ago when I made them, or however long ago it was, right? Some of them I can, because they were never claimed by the labels that own them at the time. Maybe the labels are out of business and stuff like that, or nobody's just claimed those particular versions. It doesn't matter. But those were decisions I made. For anybody that's familiar with the group Biff Naked and the song Spaceman, it was a very popular song. That was a song I did a remix of. I cannot put that up. That song is absolutely banned. So I just don't, right? I put it up. I let YouTube tell me, no, you can't use this. I said, okay, I'll just take it off. Copyright strikes usually come when you're taking somebody else's content, and YouTube can sniff it out automatically. It's not like somebody has to find it. YouTube will find it for them, and copyright strikes are bad, 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 bad news. So if you're thinking you shouldn't maybe do something, please don't do it. It's a better idea. Or find somebody else who's done what you wanted first. Make sure that it's okay. And again, if you make a video and you have questionable content, put it in the background. Do not make it public. Let YouTube tell you. Give it a little bit of time even might be a good idea. Because copyright claims are bad, bad news. If you, we've heard horror stories of friends.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, copyright claims are okay. It's copyright strikes. That's right. Because so I posted I only have one video that's got a mainstream song in it. And it said in the beginning, you can either pull the song out or you can get a copyright claim. I just put copyright claim in because I didn't care. The song was what I really needed for what I was doing at that point.
Right.
But the copyright strike, and YouTube, for those of you who don't know, they give you the option of, do you just want to silence the audio in those portions of what you're doing? And then there's no copyright claim against you. So if you're wondering if a song is legit or not, YouTube's going to tell you, because other times I've gone into, like, on YouTube, open source music, open source whatever, and someone will say it's open source, and then you put it on, and then it's not open source.
Right.
There's a claim, and I've had it before where I took the time to render it, and as some of you guys know, that can be a painstaking process. It's funny. I think I was actually chatting with Kev one time. I was trying to join him, and I said, like I'm trying to render this video, get it done in time. I had this setback here, because some of you guys know it literally takes hours to render, especially if you're using an HP laptop from 2013 like I am. It takes even longer than those of you who've got a little newer technology.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things as you go through. The copyright claim and strike are not the same. The strike you 100% do not want, because correct me if I'm wrong, Kev, it's like baseball 3 and you're out.
Yeah, that's right. So, and we've seen people lose monetized channels because of this. And it's not just because they got the strikes. YouTube gives you chances. But if you're not watching the back end of your YouTube studio and you're not getting the emails, then you can miss them. And that's what happens, right? So to be very clear, the copyright claim means that somebody else has claimed the content, the rights to the content that you're using. You can still use it, but they will be collecting all or half of the YouTube ad money, and they'll make that very clear. A copyright strike means you have taken something from somebody that you should not be using, and therefore you get the strike. You usually get a chance, you usually get an opportunity to get rid of it, but again, they're bad. So you got to really be careful. I know it's fun to use clips from TV shows and movies and stuff like that. I just choose not to do it. Hey, my videos would be better if I had, clips from TV shows and movies in them, but I don't. I'm not saying you can't. I just choose not to, because I don't want to hear it, and I don't want any risk on any channels at all. But yeah, it's a very serious business.
Yeah, because I see Victoria even says there she used some music that claimed it was copyright free and got a claim on one song. I've done the same, Victoria. If YouTube says it's a claim, it counts as a claim whether or not someone says it's not. So you just you either accept the fact that by using that song, you're losing control of making any money off that video, or you just pull the song out of the video and go again. Francis says, if I have a copyright claim, they will still allow the music of what you have to play. That's correct, Francis. They still allow you to play the music. It just means you can't make money off of that video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, unless anyone else has got a question, I held Kev here for an extra 5 minutes and 33 seconds. We covered so much, Kevin. You were absolutely amazing. Your time is so valuable. I genuinely, I appreciate the time you give, because I know, no one's time, everyone's time is so valuable, and you've been going at this so long. So I want to thank you so much. I appreciate how much you've supported my channel personally. In case you're wondering, you can find Kevin Kaye. He's on Instagram. He's a phenomenal resource. You can find his personal channel. You can also find him on Tuberchat. So if you're having trouble meeting new people, fellow creators, Tuberchat's an excellent way to do it. Kev, when is Tuberchat on? What days of the week is that on?
Always Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I changed the time so that we can meet people from different time zones every week. And then the exception is holidays. This week we have Canadian Thanksgiving, so Brad and I may not be seen on Sunday.
That's true. And Kevin alluded to it, but don't forget, Canadian Thanksgiving does come first, ahead of American Thanksgiving. It's nice you guys can come. You guys can be the silver medal of Thanksgivings, Americans. There's nothing wrong with that. But with Canada's Thanksgiving coming first, it's amazing. As we go through, and Kev, just I've touched base with him on Instagram as well. He's happy to answer your questions. Understand he's extremely busy, but he is active on these things. So just be patient.
I really do.
Be patient if he doesn't get back to you right away. And when Kevin says he's willing to give more than he's hoping to receive, he's not just paying lip service. He legitimately stands behind that statement. And you'll hear him if you ever go to Tuberchat, and he said it on here several times tonight. If in YouTube, if you give more than you ever hope to receive, you're going to get there. It's time. It's hard work. The biggest thing I found in my journey, and I've seen a lot of people, and I haven't been on YouTube very long, but I've seen a lot of people on YouTube, they drop off, they give up. There's not, that persistence isn't there. But sticking with it, staying with it, and being willing to give as you meet other creators and supporting them in their journey means so much. It really does. And I want to thank Kevin so much again for giving his time, supporting me in my journey. Tuberchat will be on tomorrow. If you want to know what Tuberchat is or who the featured channel is, please track them down on Instagram. It's a great way to do it. And you'll get those updates whenever it's going on. You'll see the new featured channel. And I've been fortunate enough to be featured channel in there a few months back, which is great. And then I appreciate Kevin giving me his time and supporting me in my YouTube journey. So Kev, thank you so much for your time. It was a thrill to meet you. It was a thrill to meet you.
We're always going to learn, like myself included, when we have like a forum like this. You've brought up some points we have to think about now. We brought up some experiments so we can learn new things and give better knowledge the next time that we're out sharing, right? I love this stuff. I really do. So it's my pleasure. Thank you.
And it doesn't seem like it because my channel is so different than what I'm doing tonight typically. But this is right in my wheelhouse of things I love to talk about, because a chance for me to be a little bit better at what I do and get the wisdom of someone like Kevin, who's farther along in honing his craft in this, is so important. And thank you. Thank you for the support that the ladies in your life give you, because I'm sure they're there in the background saying, Brad, let my special man get off the line here. So for those of you, I'm Brad. This is myBSlife. That is Kevin Kaye, Tuberchat, also Kevin Kaye personal channel. You can track him down there. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for checking in. Yeah, I've got a video coming out tomorrow morning at 10. If you want a chance to work out with someone, join me. If you just want to watch someone work out, I love if you just sit back and cheer me on. And if you don't like the first video, watch 10 or 11 more. Just make sure you don't like them. Until then, that is it for tonight. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Until next time, thanks so much. I'm Brad, myBSlife. That is the one and only Kevin Kaye. Take care, guys. Yeah.
Cheers.